Hi, everybody. Stephen Brooks, RubberOnion. It's been a while. You might remember that at the end of the previous video blog, I said this.
So I'll see you on the next video blog, which I promise is not going to be a year from now. Maybe 6 months. No, it won't be that long.
It didn't take me 1 year to get back to it. It took 4. I got a lot of YouTube comments in that time asking for a continuation of these video blogs, and I can't say that I haven't wanted to do it, but I'm not going to give any excuses. I'm going to stand here in front of my 1990 stand-up comedy brick wall background, and I'm going to tell you that I have every intention of continuing on with the series. For the simple fact that I have passion back for the source project, the Easter Bunny animated short, the thing that started it all. I lost that for a while. I had a lot of work. That's really good. Gives money. Money's good. It's kind of my career. It's what I do. You will notice that I'm in a completely different place than I was last time, because guess what? I moved again. So far, this is the 4th residence that you've seen me in. And I'm not even in the United States anymore. I'm in England. That's England. Yep, here's the thing though. I want to get right to the animation. I want to get right to the production, because that's the point of these things. But I understand that you may need more of an explanation than I just got a little busy. Because the fact of the matter is, yes, you can totally find time to do work on a project in 4 years. It's not like I never had the time to do it. That would be completely disingenuous if I tried to make it sound like I never had the opportunity. I had opportunities. It's not like I've been sitting on my hands this whole time. I had RubberOnion viewing parties where we watched animated movies and talked about them. I did movie reviews with my buddy Yulfo. And then I actually made some other animated shorts which are less ambitious than the one I'm making here. But the most content that I've put out recently is in 2013, I started a RubberOnion Animation Podcast. You can check that out on my website. And that's not just to give the plugs for all the things that I've been doing. It's to tell you that I have been doing other things. I just haven't been working on this particular project. Why? I addressed that on an episode of the podcast. So yeah, okay, it's a little bit of a plug. But no, seriously, episode 107 of the RubberOnion Animation Podcast is aptly titled, How to Be Productive When You're Lazy. It's a little on the nose. So if you want to know why it's been so hard for me to revisit this series, listen to that episode. There's a link to it in the more info section on YouTube. If you're watching this on my blog, obviously, there'll be a link to it there. So that's it. I just had to address the elephant in the room before I actually got on with the rest of the episode. So on this video blog, right here, right now, which is actually happening, we're talking about backgrounds. So just like in the last video blog on character design, I'm not doing the full thing, meaning I'm not cleaning up the backgrounds and adding color. I'm just doing essentially layout, meaning I'm trying to frame the characters by using the background elements. And then the next video blog is going to be on style, and that specifically is going to be experimenting with how I want the final product to actually look. So let's get out of this brick backdrop and go up to the office and do some work. We're gonna finish this thing, you and me. RubberOnion video blog series, back in action. I don't know why I used the Looney Tunes reference. So here I am back in front of the computer. You will notice that it is not as interesting to look at as my wonderful brick background down there. First thing that I have to do is I gotta go through this animatic here, and I have to make a list of all the backgrounds that I'm gonna be doing, because some of them repeat, or some of them can repeat. I might find that out. It kind of depends on the setup. I'm going to figure out what backgrounds need to be created, label them. I'm going to determine how many scenes they're used in, and then I'm going to go back over to my drawing table and I'm actually going to draw them and create them. Let's do that. And yeah, I wear these so that I don't get headaches after a long day of staring at a screen a couple feet away from my face. Anyway.
Here's the beginning, the opening shot.
Police! That's the bunny we've been after! Cock-a-doodle-doo! Oh my!
We interrupt this microphone. Yeah, you remember that, right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going through this. Now, this is a background. Let me just make things a little bit easier on me, and I'm going to create a folder. Just going to drag everything into that folder. Animatic, shrink, lock. You know what? I didn't even name this audio. I guess I should. This is where we got our first background. You'll notice that I have some elements in here. And if you go back to storyboard, remember that? The general idea is there. The bunny is running from left to right, growing on the screen, and then it cuts to this guy. Now this is the rooster, and he's back here. See? I'm just going to draw real quick. There's a house, and I'm thinking that it might make more sense This is the rule of thirds. Break it up into 3 parts horizontal, 3 parts vertical. Where the lines intersect, this is pretty much where you want to put your attention. But as I'll get into the layout later, I want to be able to draw the viewer's attention to the character by way of using lines and perspective. So I might put that guy here. Now, the next scene, he's yelling and pointing this way, right? Wrong hand, but still. I'll fix that later. And these cops are standing there. They look to their left. That means that we have to have a chicken coop somewhere around here. The coop might actually make even more sense to be even a little bit bigger. Something like that. So now that the bunny has something to run in front of, you get an idea of a feeling of depth. This is background 1, and we know so far that it is in scene 2. So, background 1, scene 2, boop. The next one is we're zooming in on the guy. We copy that, paste it here. We know that the guy is going to be around this spot where I put the X, and we're just going to scale it up to where he's standing. And now we know that this one is scenes 2 and 3. Easy enough. Continuing on. This one, different background. He points his fingers. Maybe I'll have the cops come out. I'm going to have to figure that out because the way that I laid it out, it's a little confusing to where everything is. I think I'm going to have the cops run out. That may make a little bit more sense. But basically, I want to have the chicken coop here. That's the chicken coop. Look at you. The lines are pointing to the characters here. So that's background 2. Background 5. Aha. Obviously stand in front of the chicken coop. Can I get away with that? I think I can use the same background with the chicken coop there. Let's see what that looks like. That looks pretty solid. So we can use that same background again in scene 5. Now this one is a little bit more interesting because this is the bunny running and looking over his shoulder. I think I had it running on a path because eventually it comes up to a road. That. You know, there'll be some rocks and some vegetation here. So that one is background 3. Scene 6. It might just be one long one that I pan along. It's got to be isometric in the way that I design it, though, because if you pan it, you can't change the perspective. This one I've already kind of drawn. I'll just copy that, basically. So what are we up to now? Background 4. It's background 4, scene 7. I wouldn't normally do it like this. Part of it is just illustrating the process that I go through, because I could probably do it in my head, but that's why I'm just doing it really quick, this little sketchy thing. I just wanted to let you know that this isn't necessarily a process exactly you need to do, because you can kind of tell what the backgrounds are, keep it in your head, and just go along. It's only a 2-minute short, but it's hard to illustrate that process. So I'm doing this. You're welcome. This is the list that we have. We have 17 backgrounds. There's a lot of single service backgrounds in here, but there are some that are going to be reused over and over and over again. Those are the ones that I have to really make sure that I get right when it comes time to actually clean up the backgrounds. But now that I have a background list, I know what is in the backgrounds. Background number 1, scenes 2, 3, and 5. And that continues down the line here. Background 13 is the most used background. It's used in scene 18, 20, 22, 27, and 29. That's because it's when the Easter Bunny actually gets inside the barn. The final shot is actually that. It also has a window in it, so you can see the other side. So there's multi-layers to that background. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move over to the table. I'm going to take these off for a moment because they hurt my nose. I'm going to move over to the drafting table, and I'm going to start drawing. All right, let's do it.
Okay, so now that I'm ready to draw in my squeaky chair, apparently, I basically go through the same process that I did in the character design video blog, except there's a small addition this time. If you remember last time, what I did was I took images off of Google, put them onto a proof sheet, printed them out, and then I had them all scattered around here for good reference. The thing is, this time, my printer's not working. I got my computer over here, and that has the images on it. Essentially, it's a lot of images of barns and farms and arms. So now that I know how many backgrounds I have to do, I know what they entail, I know the general layout and the needs of the background, the perspective, that sort of thing. I draw it on paper not because I necessarily even prefer it, but if you're an independent creator, it's actually really important to have a variety of workflow. So if you're always on the computer, it gets a little redundant. If you remember the sound effects video blog, that's why I was so excited to do the sound effects and the dialogue and everything, because it's different. That's why I like animation. There's a lot of stuff that you can do in it. There's a lot of variety. So again, remember, not a tutorial. It's kind of a behind the scenes / narration type of thing. It's a video blog. Let's draw.
Doesn't it sound so much better now because of the setup? I'm able to use a microphone because you can't see it. It's right there. Anyway, so the first thing I gotta do is I gotta figure out where my horizon line is. Well, horizon line should be somewhere around here. Can you see that? Not really, but that's okay. Just keep in mind it's between these two. We know that based on layout, the Easter Bunny is going to be running from left to right on screen. We also know that the rooster who's yelling after him is over on the left third of the screen, standing right at the edge of what would be the porch, the barn house. So that means that the barn house is going to be all the way over on this side, mainly because the barn house is not the most important part. That's not what's going to take up most of the screen. What's going to take up most of the screen here is going to be the chicken coop. We got some other roosters that are hanging out here or coming out. I'm not sure yet because I haven't actually laid that out. We start by marking our territory. This is about where the attention's going to be, so we just want to make sure that everything's kind of coming out from there. So the barn house is going to take up this part of the screen. Since I know that the chicken's going to be standing right around here, I don't really want anything to be behind it. I want it to be framed because we're actually going to zoom in. So the door is going to be about here, the roof is going to be about here, and then we just need some stairs. Remember the tip in a minute that I did on perspective? Tip in a minute number 3? All the lines on that plane are going to converge on that spot. That's what's happening. All the lines are going to be pointing up to the chicken. Because obviously the Easter Bunny's running in front here. He doesn't really need any attention. It's the chicken in the background that needs to be highlighted. So we got kind of a frame around the chicken. Just putting some stairs on here. Again, using the same principle. Horizontal lines are just staying on the same plane. You know, I'm not doing a clean version of it. All I'm doing is I'm just making sure that I have a general layout, and then I'm going to play around with it. Maybe even that's too close. Maybe even the door should be farther to the left over here. I mean, we don't really need to see the door. And there's probably going to be a window somewhere around here. There's got to be a window, right? So there's the general idea of the barn. I'll go back and fix it up in a bit. And we're looking all the way over here for that rooster. So we're going to have a huge Easter Bunny over here at one point and a tiny little rooster. You need to put some attention there. So all the lines are converging to this spot way far over on the left. Right? Now we need to know where the chicken coop's going to be. And the chicken coop is going to be somewhere around here. So we want to have it be apart from this spot. So I'm thinking about the same distance as the stairs. Figure the farmer's probably building grid style. Doesn't want to have the chicken coop too close to the porch. So instead of having it back here, I'm putting it on this line. I know no one's really going to care about it, but that's the idea. That's why I'm doing this. Now you can use a ruler, but full disclosure, I kind of misplaced my straight edge. So anyway, it's fine. No problem. And a lot of this is just winging it. Since I have the horizon line down here, I figure we want to have the roof somewhere up around here. I'd like the roof to be somewhat straight, so I'm going to get pretty close to the horizon line here. Not perfectly close, just a little close. Now I'm going to cheat a little bit. If it's on a grid here, this should be completely horizontal. But I want to get kind of a weird feeling. So instead of having it be perfectly horizontal, I'm going to put it up at an angle. It's not exactly 2-point perspective. It's going to feel wrong, really. If this were built in reality, this wouldn't be at a 90-degree angle. It would be squished in a little bit. That's kind of the feeling that I'm going for. Something that feels just a little wrong. Chicken coops are not normally boxes everywhere. Not if they're in an area that can have some snowfall. So what they do is they ramp it. I just get the feeling I want to have some mountains in the background, like it's maybe somewhere out west. All right, so there's that. The other thing that's kind of strange about chicken coops is that they all seem to have windows. I mean, that's good. Chickens should be able to, I don't know, see the world? Anyway, so we're putting a window in here. It's nice that they have windows. Actually, in my world, they have jobs. Also, keep in mind that part of the joke of this chicken coop is that is the police station. That's why the cops are all standing out here. But the next part, believe it or not, there is a place where the farmer needs to get in and out. That is a door. There's a door on the side. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put in this door here. It's not a huge door. It's a fairly small door. And because there is no 2-point perspective here, I'm really just winging this. Just seeing if maybe it kind of looks okay. Like it doesn't look right. But keep in mind, I'm doing this on purpose. On purpose. And the last thing is that there's a Z-brace. So far there it is. There's the house, there's the chicken coop, and what I'd like just to fill out the space over here is I'd like a tree. I want everything converging to this point over here. We have a lot of dead space down here. We have dead space because there is a bunny that's going to be running from this spot to this spot. We need everyone's eyes drawn to this spot here. So the key to a background drawn for animation is that when you're done with it, it should look empty. But we don't want it to look too empty. There's no reason to not have something over here because nothing goes into this space. And if nothing goes into this space, nothing crosses this area, there's no complication for having something there. It just seems like someone forgot to put something up there. So I'm going to put a tree because, I don't know, farms have trees, right? Well, I guess not, but I'm going to put one there anyway. I want it to be kind of a old tree. Really, I have no plan for the tree. I'm just going to wing it. I would like the branches to point back this way. That's important. I can even have something here that will kind of curve up. The idea is that your eye will travel the length of these lines back to this spot over here. It's just all trying to bring the attention to that spot. Tree has a little kink in its back, I think. I want a big branch coming out this way here. I gotta be honest, I have no idea what tree this is. Remember the last unicorn? Tree with the big boobs? That's what it's like. Except this one has scoliosis. Yeah, you can have big boobs and scoliosis. Mine just has scoliosis. Now I'm just giving a little bit of texture. And honestly, this is just random texture. I mean, this is just how I draw. There's no plan to it. Like I said, these are not tutorials, but it's trying to feel the form. Anyway, there you go. There's the tree. Weird tree. So now I got that out of the way. I'm going to give a little bit of more texture and more feeling to this background. I'm going to give it some siding. I'm not going to be too precise here. A little bit of texture, a little bit of feeling, and wooden boards. Darken in that door there a little bit. You know, I don't like the fact that it's an actual Z. That really bothers me. It really bothers me. So I think I'm going to switch it. Instead of having it be a Z, I'm going to have it be a backwards Z. Yeah, that's better. It looked weird before, right? Because there was a literal Z in the middle of it. It's like Zorro came by and built a door for some reason. We have a lot of downward patterns in this image. Like a little sill. You know, just to give a little bit of depth in there. Something that makes it feel like it's not I was going to say wooden, but I guess it is wooden. Because it's made out of wood. Don't laugh at that. If you laughed at that, I judge you. I want to have some cracks in here just because it makes it, I don't know, more believable. I don't know why it's believable that farms are like run down and dirty or something. That seems judgmental. But maybe it's just the idea that they're not really focused too much on what they look like, you know. Just more focus on functionality. If it functions, this is a good chicken coop. Maybe this here, you know, maybe they peck at it, you know, who knows. I mean, I don't actually need to do this. I'm just doing it because I want to. I'm in it now. You know, and who knows, maybe this information that I gather from drawing, maybe I can take this information into the style video blog. So there you go, chicken coop. And then finally, we just bring our attention back to the house. Let's say the top of one of the stairs is off. I think the obvious one, which will be off, is the bottom stair. That makes the most sense, doesn't it? Because, I mean, you put your weight on it and it kind of tips down. All right. Battery died, so I moved the camera. Better position. Anyway, back to the action. Just making it look a little bit more presentable. Who knows? Some lucky viewer might get this one day. I want to make it look kind of nice. I think I just got to call it. Got to call it quits.
This texture on top here, all this stuff, that's probably not going to make it into the final. I may even do the whole thing over again. There is a balance between doing something fun for you and doing something that's just going to be enough to get by to get to the next part. You know, sometimes you just need to get done, especially if you haven't worked on something for like 4 years. I'm at the table, I got my pencil in hand, figure I'll sketch it up a little bit. Anyway, that's that first background. I just do the same thing for the other ones. We get another angle of the coop, then another angle of the house. That's what I'm going to be doing, and that I'm going to be using this as reference. And also, sorry if the audio quality keeps changing, but my microphone's back there, and I could put it over here, but it's a whole big thing, and really, you want to see this video, don't you? So just like I did on the previous video blog on character design, I'm about to do a time lapse to show you the different angles that I'm drawing of this same exact background that I just sketched up. And also, I'm going to play a clip from the podcast. You remember from earlier on, I told you episode 107, How to Be Productive When You're Lazy, of the RubberOnion Animation Podcast is when I talked about all the stuff that I went through in order to actually get to the point where I'm recording. And the other guy that you're going to hear, by the way, is Yulfo. He's a fellow animator and he's my co-host on the show. You'll be able to check out his channel in the more info section.
Kind of is a way for me just to discuss the video blogs. I have been cutting up the next video blog on backgrounds.
Oh, you already started
the Easter
filming?
Bunny short. Yep.
Whoa, look at that.
There's a lot of reasons that you can get distracted from something. Up to video blog 6, I was all in one office. Video blog 7 was in the basement of my wife's cousin's place, and you know what? I could write this music in a day. I could easily do this. And I just sat down and I just did it and I recorded it and I edited it and I put it up. So I had some motivation to do that. Then we moved into a new apartment and it took me a while. I had to settle in. I had to do a lot of work because I lost a lot of time doing work in the move. By the time that I had an opportunity to get back to work on that project, the thing is I knew that my Easter Bunny animated short was a ways off. So the only thing that I was going to be producing was the video blog. And I had other things that I wanted to do, right? So it took me a year to do video blog 8. That was a few years ago. This is video blog 8. I understand people's frustration about it.
I think some would say I'm your Yoko because once I got involved, video blog stopped.
That was 4 years ago. We were doing video reviews before video blog 8. The amount of time that I had to dedicate to the Easter Bunny project was shrinking. And part of that was thinking about how much work I had yet to do on it.
Yeah.
I had my backgrounds to do, to figure out the style, rough animation, the cleanup animation, the effects.
Yeah.
And I got to cut up this video blog. I started directing my attention to content that I could finish and could get up there. But then as time went on, I got another opportunity. And this is the first time that I will have said this on the podcast. We've talked about it a bunch. I was approached to write a book, a tutorial book.
Stephen Brooks, you made a book?
I knew you were going to do that.
Video blog number 9 in the books, ready to go on to the next one. The next one's going to be really cool, actually. That one's on style, and it's all about figuring out something new and something kind of fun so I can be that naive artist again. 4 years. Okay, what can be said? I mean, I got to direct you back to that episode 107. The RubberOnion Animation Podcast. I know I keep saying this, but I understand that you guys want to know why it took this long to get back at it, and I say it all in there. It's actually kind of hard. I mean, unexpectedly hard to do animation on your own. I want to say animation for fun because obviously if you're having fun with something, it's fun. Well said. My point is, it's unexpectedly hard to do something on your free time because making an animated short like this, a lot of it is about consistency. It's not just about consistency of work, it's also about consistency of passion and interest in the project that you're actually working on. You lose that and you lose a lot. If I were getting paid to do this, like I do for work, I wouldn't need to worry so much about losing momentum and losing steam because there are different factors that are in there. Your work, your career, these are very, very high on the priority list, very high in the totem pole. And sometimes when push comes to shove, stuff you do on your free time, that's the thing that gets shoved. And I know a lot of you out there that are creating independent content, you have full-time jobs. Maybe you're not even in the arts. Maybe you work at a grocery store. Maybe you work on a farm. Whatever the case is, if you're doing something on your own free time, that free aspect starts to come into a factor. I want to say the other thing that I mentioned on the podcast was that one of the things that I have been working on is a book. I wrote a book.
Buy my book! Buy my book!
It's a tutorial book on using the 12 principles of animation in what is currently known as Adobe Flash. Now, we all know that Adobe Flash is becoming Adobe Animate. In the more info section on YouTube, you'll be able to follow a link and you can pre-order that. But this is about the video blog. I want to thank you, sincerely, for your support, your comments. There was a part of me that felt very bad that I didn't get back to these. Every time a comment came in, hey, where's the next video blog? I felt bad, but I also felt good that it meant something to you. And that means something to me. I'm not making any promises of when the next one is coming, but I can tell you that I am working on it. And if you follow me on social media and RubberOnion.com and all the places where I am, you'll be up to date on what I'm doing. The last thing that I'll leave off on is that I started a Patreon essentially to help with the production of independent stuff like this. So if you like what I do, you think there's value in it, and you'd like to support me, check me out on Patreon. The link will be there, but it's pretty easy. It's patreon.com/RubberOnion. And that's it. That's all I got. So, thank you. Thank you. And check out my other videos because.
Police!